It starts quietly, almost tenderly, the kind of silence no one names. You're 7 years old, watching the world through eyes that understand too much. A parent is unraveling in front of you, maybe through anger, maybe through addiction, maybe through that vacant stare that looks right through you. You don't have the words for it yet, but somewhere deep in your small mind, a rule is written. If I don't hold everything together, no one will. And that's how a child disappears. Not in body, but in spirit. They learn to smile when it hurts, to read the room before speaking, to soothe others before understanding what soothing even means. They become the emotional barometer of the household, adjusting their tone, their needs, their entire being to maintain a fragile peace. And the world applauds them for it. You're so mature. You're so strong. You're so responsible. But no one ever asks, at what cost? This is the quiet grief of those who grew up too fast. The ones who became small adults before they ever had the chance to be children. Psychologists call it parentification, a reversal of roles where the child becomes the caretaker, the peacemaker, the quiet therapist in a home that keeps demanding stability from the smallest soul in the room. It doesn't just steal childhood, it rewires the brain. Because when you grow up responsible for someone else's emotions, your nervous system learns hypervigilance. You become a scanner of moods, always searching for danger, always ready to adjust. You learn that love is conditional, that peace must be earned, that your needs are dangerous while theirs are sacred. So you disappear, not physically but emotionally, replaced by a version of yourself designed to keep everything safe. The good child, the listener, the overachiever, the one who never asks for anything, and you wear that role so convincingly that even you forget it's a disguise. But beneath the composure, something aches. Something small and innocent is still waiting to be held, whispering the question you never asked aloud. Why didn't anyone protect me? That child never left. They're still inside you, flinching when someone raises their voice, numbing when joy gets too close, apologizing for existing too loudly. As you grow older, the symptoms change shape, but not essence. You become fiercely independent because relying on anyone feels dangerous. You overperform at work because achievement is the only language of worth you've ever known. You feel anxious in moments of calm because peace feels unfamiliar, undeserved. You confuse exhaustion with success. You confuse survival with life. Because when chaos is your childhood's baseline, stillness feels wrong, almost suspicious. The psychology of a child forced to grow up too fast is not a story of resilience, it is a story of premature sacrifice. The tragedy isn't that you learned strength too early, it's that you learned strength instead of safety. Children will abandon themselves to keep attachment alive. That isn't weakness, it's intelligence, it's biology. When belonging is at risk, the child's mind decides authenticity is expendable. They shrink, they please, they overfunction, because love, in their world, must be earned by holding everyone else together. And the irony is devastating. What once saved you becomes the very thing that exhausts you as an adult. You become the caretaker who can't rest, the achiever who can't stop, the helper who resents being needed, yet doesn't know who they are without being needed. Many adults walking through life right now are carrying neglected inner children, dressed in competence. They appear calm, capable, grounded, but beneath the surface, they are still waiting to be seen, waiting for someone to notice that the strength was never a choice. They fantasize, often silently, that one day someone will finally say, "You don't have to hold it all together anymore." That someone will notice the tiredness behind the smile, that they'll finally get to fall apart and still be loved. But that day rarely comes because the person meant to rescue that child is you. Healing doesn't begin with fixing, it begins with witnessing, with allowing yourself to name what happened without minimizing it, to stop saying, "It wasn't that bad," or "other people had it worse," because comparison is another form of denial, and denial is how the wound stays alive. You turned out functional, yes, but fine isn't the same as free. Fine is the armor you built to survive. Underneath it, there's grief that was never allowed to surface. And that grief, when it finally arrives, can feel unbearable. It asks you to mourn the birthdays no one remembered, the tears you swallowed, the innocence traded for safety. It asks you to feel the rage that was too dangerous to feel then. To let the child inside you cry for the first time without guilt. That is not regression, it's reclamation. Because healing isn't about becoming new, it's about remembering who you were before you had to perform. When that child grows up, they often become adults who don't trust softness. They apologize for crying. They flinch at compliments. They love deeply but fear being seen. They give endlessly but can't receive. They live their lives as if comfort must be earned. This is the cost of growing up too fast. When your childhood teaches you that being good means being quiet, that being loved means being useful, that being safe means being small, you inherit an adulthood built on exhaustion. You hold your breath for years, waiting for someone to give you permission to exhale. But the truth is, no one is coming to do that for you. You are the one who must go back and find that child, the one who carried too much, and tell them what no one else did. You didn't deserve that. You were just a child. You can rest now. That's where healing begins. Not in perfection or performance, but in presence. In shadow work, the process of turning toward the parts of yourself you abandoned. Saying to them, "I see you, I hear you, I won't leave you again." It's brutal work because it asks you to feel what you avoided your entire life. It asks you to stop intellectualizing your pain and actually live through it, to cry, to rage, to shake, to remember. But that pain is sacred. It means the frozen parts of you are finally thawing. The child who was silenced is finally speaking. The one who held everyone together is finally being held. And slowly, the survival patterns begin to loosen. You stop rescuing people who don't ask to be saved. You stop confusing anxiety with intuition. You stop mistaking caretaking for love. You start setting boundaries that feel like betrayal only because you were raised to believe self-respect was selfish. You begin to ask your inner child, what did you need that you never got? And when the answers come, simple, human things like safety, play, rest, affection, you begin to offer them to yourself. Not to erase your past, but to end the repetition of it. Carl Jung once said, "There is no coming to consciousness without pain." And that is the paradox of healing. It hurts because you were finally feeling what your younger self couldn't afford to. You're not breaking down, you're breaking open. And in that opening, something soft returns, a tenderness you thought you'd lost, a gentleness toward yourself that feels unfamiliar but right. If you were a child who grew up too fast, hear this. Your maturity was never proof of strength, it was proof of survival. But now survival is no longer your job. You can choose something different. You can choose softness over performance, rest over control, honesty over perfection. You can allow the child in you to come home, to cry, to laugh, to exist without earning it. You never had a childhood, but you still have a future. And this time, you get to grow at your own pace, not through fear, not through pressure, but through truth.